Every great dream begins with the dreamer. Always remember you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. This was a quote said by Harriet Tubman according to Goldcast.com. Harriet Tubman is known for her bravery, her dedication, and her willingness to be the change that she wanted to see in the world. In the 1800s, she ran the Underground Railroad, which was used to take slaves from slave-holding southern states to northern states and eventually Canada, and grant them their freedom, which they did not have in the southern states. So Harriet Tubman was born in Maryland, although the exact date of her birth is unknown, although it probably occurred between 1820 and 1825. So, she had a tough life growing up because she was a slave and her whole family was enslaved. So, she says, I grew up like a neglected weed, ignorant of liberty, having no experience of it. That's according to Goldcast.com. So, growing up, she was constantly physically abused and lived the life of a slave, meaning she was tending the house, tending the fields, being whipped, and she was 100% under her master's control, along with the whole family. So she really never saw freedom, besides looking out at those who had it, which was the white folks back then. So, Harriet's desire for justice became apparent at age 12 when there was a slave trying to escape from the plantation that she lived on, or the house that she lived in, and the master, when he caught him, was going to throw a huge weight at him. What Harriet Tubman did in a moment of extreme bravery and perseverance and showing dedication to freedom and standing up for what she believed and she knew was right in the world, she stepped in front of this man and the weight hit her in the head. This eventually led to narcolepsy and headaches, which plagued her the rest of her life. But this really showed the first time that she was willing to go above and beyond for what she thought was right and what she knew was right. So, Harriet Tubman escaped slavery in 1849 using the Underground Railroad with her brothers, although they turned back and she went on alone. She then went back to rescue the rest of her family and many other slaves. It's said that she freed over 300. Okay, so according to biography.com, she freed more than 300 people, including her parents and several siblings. She would take these slaves from the southern states to northern freed territories. But actually, she had to reroute to Canada because what happened was the United States passed the Fugitive Slave Act, meaning any states that held freed slaves or slaves that had escaped had to return them to the South if their owners asked. So it became incredibly risky to bring them to the northern states, meaning she had to start bringing them to Canada. So every slave and every time she went back to the south, from the northern states where she was free and safe, she was risking her life, the life of her family, and the life of all of her friends who were in any way associated with her, because the slavers did not care about killing her family and killing her friends to get to her, to get to stop what she was doing. It took incredible bravery to do what she did, and her actions inspired many others to fight for their freedoms. And back in the 1800s, she was one of the first and most influential characters in the turning of the Civil Rights Revolution, or the Civil Rights Movement, and all movements that followed. So, Harriet earned the nickname Moses because after the prophet Moses in the Bible, who led his people to freedom. In all of her journeys, she never lost a single passenger, and that's according to PBS.org. So in those 8 years and 300 people she freed, 300 plus people she freed, she never lost a single one of them, just like the prophet Moses. In 1859, she moved to New York and lived on a piece of land granted to her there. So, in her life, she sacrificed everything for the cause of freedom, and that she knew, she lived by the motto, give me liberty or give me death, and it was one or the other, and in the end, she granted over 300 people, including herself and her family, liberty, and is one of the most influential people to this day. Thank you.